We'd love to hear just advice that you have for young performers. And I'm sure this is something you've given a lot for your Project STEP students as well.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of them because they really do embody a lot of the advice that I give to just students generally, and in college or in high school or any age. It's just to be kind to each other, be generous, be kind, and put down your cell phones and have conversations for multiple reasons. It's good for you. But also, if you ever want to work in the music industry, make sure that you build bridges and you don't burn them. The world gets very, very small the older you get in the classical music world. And trust me, I'm a very nice person, but there are certain people that, if someone asks me, I'm just going to be honest about that. But no, just being kind and being generous with each other is usually what I preach. And I mean, if you come in on a Saturday, and Megan was able to see a video of some students wishing me farewell and good luck in my next position. And I mean, you could just, it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna start crying again. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Get the tiny tissue. I think I actually have a question for Corey about kind of like performance. What connected to you in your performance journey? What was it that you, when you talk to now the youth of Zumix, what advice do you give them?
A couple of things, I guess. One would be to play, like go out and play. It's really interesting to think about the topic of communities now, because my answer today, I think, is different than it would be 10 years ago, because there's this thing called social media now, and people are creating their own communities online and finding affirmation online and really being creative, both tech creative and like content creative, which is super cool, and also like another level of like community that I think young people are very aware of and old people are still kind of getting hip to. But I say go out and play. There's also nothing wrong with finding a mentor. I've had many mentors in my lives, and they weren't necessarily called mentors. They might have been like uncle or like social worker or like, pastor or choir conductor. But those mentors connected me to resources and invited me to places where I felt welcomed, where I then was able to like find other people in the forum community. As a young person of color, there were many places in the neighborhood where I didn't feel welcomed. And there were a lot of barriers that I created that I thought I wasn't good enough to like go to like classical shows or go to the ballet. And it was like silly to think like that. It wasn't until someone was like, no, come on, let's go. And I was like, oh my God, I can go there. And you start to like realize that you belong in those spaces. You can be a part of that community. Same thing also with like just hanging out with older folks. I feel like there's so many stories and experiences that older people bring to the table, but as a young person, you might not ever have the opportunity to really sit down and talk and like learn and find the value that people get. And I actually owe that to a lot of adults really respecting me and treating me like a human, and then me being able to then see them as human and form genuine friendships and relationships. And I didn't know how important it was as a young person, but now, man, as an adult, those friends are the directors of organizations. They are the organizers. They are the managers. They are the ones who are like helping me get tickets and go and see things. And if a musician who's stuck with musicianship for 30 years like I did is a professional musician now. So it's crazy to think about how when you stick to something and you don't give up, you become really good at that thing, and you become a leader. And so keeping those relationships, forming those relationships, having it be organic and based off of community is important. And I tell a lot of young people that if you want to go somewhere fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go somewhere far, you have to go with other people. And the music is not a isolated thing. You have to be able to like work with an engineer, work with a concert promoter, work with a booking agent, figure out choreograph with a dancer and like other bandmates. There are so many other social aspects to music that I will say is really about community and bonding and like having those people. People refer me because they know me. They're like, "Hey, Corey's a cool guy. You gotta know him, right?" So it's like,
That is
and
exactly what happened.
I'm on their brain, and when you're on someone's brain, it makes all the difference, you know. And that's why I think it's important for young people to like go meet the guy behind the camera if you're interested. Go talk to the band after the show. Ask who the manager is and be like, how'd you get that job? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's important because I feel like people know people, and that's what forms relationships and build community. Um, People like to help. They also need to know how they can help, you know? And I think that's a part of getting into the room and seeing what people have and what people can do. And a lot of people are really willing to like share their knowledge. And it's getting rid of that barrier in between that helps that communication happen.
I love what you just said, and I especially love talking about kind of the barriers that a lot of performing musicians, especially those who are not thinking about like classical performance, like that's musicianship, that's it. And I especially want to highlight something that happened this spring that was really incredible, which was during our performathon. AJ helped co-plan and lead a social jam where we had 3 different day habs and a lot of other folks, all adults with disabilities, come, and we had this big performance. And each site had their own song that they shared out. And I think a thing that was really poignant that one of our music therapy intern and now our music therapist who just got board certified today, Hannah Johnson, you're a champ. But she said, she was like, they're all musicians. This is just, they're all performing musicians. This is a performance. And so I was wondering, AJ, if you could talk to what inclusion and accessibility looks like in performance. How do we make folks of all abilities feel and know that they are welcome and they should be intentionally invited in those spaces?
Yeah, I think it really comes from an understanding of the needs of the people that are looking to come into those spaces, looking to perform, you know, and not just like our own understanding of what those needs might be, but also really getting to know and understanding the people that we're working with, and learning from them. What are their needs in order to really access a performance, or to feel confident in that space? What are the things that we can do to really, you know, work to remove any like barriers that might be in the way of accessing that confidence and that feeling to really have that opportunity to perform. You know, whether it's something physical like changing the way that an instrument might be laid out for a client who might have like a physical disability and have a need for support in that way, or whether it is you know, providing some sort of space or ritual to be able to feel comfortable in a space, the ability to go and take breaks as needed, the ability to feel to feel confident in the room and in the space, whatever those needs might be. But really, you know, knowing the people that you're working with and understanding them both, you know, from your experience with them, but also, you know, being open and ready to listen to them based on what they might need any given day.
I just want to point out, I really loved hearing how all of our conversations about performance connected so naturally to community and even to musical exploration. The idea of, I want to see what the sound designer is doing, I want to see what the cameraman's doing. I want to go explore these other possibilities, not just my own instrument. I think it's just amazing to see just the fluidity of all of these pathways.